name's Jack, and I've been an electrician for nearly 20 years. Most days it's routine, fixing wires, replacing fuses, no surprises. But every now and then, something feels off. It was around 9 p.m. when I got the call. The voice on the other end was raspy, almost scared. An old man in a remote cabin had lost power. The storm was coming in, and he couldn't get his generator to work. I wasn't thrilled about heading out that late, but work is work. I loaded up my truck and began the drive. The road was narrow, winding through the forest. The rain had already started, turning the dirt road into thick mud. My headlights barely cut through the fog clinging to the trees. The only sound was the rain hammering the windshield. When I reached the cabin, it was nearly midnight. No lights, just my headlights reflecting off the wet ground. The cabin was old, the roof sagging, wooden walls discolored from neglect. I parked and stepped out. The cold hit me immediately. The wind howled through the trees, branches groaning under the force. My boots sank into the mud as I made my way to the front door. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. The door creaked open when I pushed it, and freezing air hit me from inside. The place smelled of damp wood and mildew. The floorboards creaked as I stepped inside. The furniture was sparse, just a couple of chairs and a table. I could see my breath in the dim light from my flashlight. I set my toolbox down by the electrical panel. The wiring looked ancient. I opened the panel and saw the problem. A blown fuse, easy enough to fix. As I reached for a spare, I heard something. Faint at first, like a hum behind me. I turned, shining my flashlight. Nothing, just shadows. I shrugged it off and went back to the fuse. But then I heard it again, louder. A creaking noise, like footsteps coming from upstairs. I didn't even know the place had an upstairs. "Hello," I called out. No response, just the sound of wood groaning above me. I grabbed my flashlight and aimed it at the ceiling. The beams creaked louder, closer. Something wasn't right. I stepped toward the narrow staircase. The wood under my boots groaned. I shined the light up the steps. The light caught something that moved. There was a figure at the top, barely visible in the weak light, just a shadowy outline. It turned and disappeared down the hall. Footsteps followed. My breath caught in my throat. I wasn't sure if it was the old man or something else. I called out louder. "Who's there?" Still no answer, just slow, dragging footsteps. I hesitated but climbed the stairs. The hallway was dark, the walls cracked, wallpaper hanging loose. My flashlight flickered as I moved down the hall, heart pounding. Suddenly the footsteps stopped. Silence. I strained to hear anything, but there was nothing, just the wind and faint creaks. I was about to turn back when the air turned unnaturally cold. I could feel it creeping across my skin, freezing my breath. Then from the far end of the hallway, I heard a whisper. Soft at first, barely audible, but growing louder. Words I couldn't understand echoed through the space. My flashlight flickered, and in that moment, I saw something move beside me. I spun the flashlight, catching a glimpse of someone standing inches away. Their face was pale, eyes hollow, mouth twisted in a silent scream. Before I could react, the light flickered out, plunging me into darkness. I stumbled back and bolted down the stairs. The creaking followed, faster now. My heart pounded as I sprinted to the door. I didn't care about the fuse anymore. I just needed to get out. I threw the door open and ran to the truck, slipping in the mud. As I scrambled into the seat, I glanced back. The door was still open, and for a second I saw it again, that figure. Standing in the doorway, watching. The engine roared to life, and I floored it, tearing down the road. I never went back, and I never found out what happened to the old man.